The night before our wedding, I found the second suite key in his tux pocket. Not mine. Not ours. A different key card. Different hotel. He said it was a backup, but the receipt in the bag said otherwise, booked under his mother's name. 2 guests. 1 bed. Same dates as our honeymoon. And the kicker? He didn't even look surprised when I asked. Just tired. Like he'd been waiting for this moment. My name is Graham. And this is the story of how I found out my mother-in-law had other plans for our honeymoon. Linda was always a little much. You know the type. The matriarch with a blowout and a bridal binder. Spoke in polished guilt trips. Thought compromise was when everyone agreed with her. From the minute I proposed to Amy, her mom was everywhere. Cake tastings. Guest lists. Even suggested I wear a navy tux because black washes out your complexion, dear. I laughed it off at first. It's your wedding too, I told Amy. If it makes her happy, I'll deal. But somewhere along the way, helpful turned into invasive. She insisted on helping us plan the honeymoon. Said she had connections at resorts in the Keys. Amy was hesitant, but I figured, what's the harm in a few hotel suggestions? We still made the final calls. Or so I thought. The week before the wedding, Linda was calm. Too calm. Like a storm had already happened and I just hadn't noticed. Her smile had that resting secret quality, like she was waiting for a punchline only she found funny. And Amy? She was distracted. Short answers. Glued to her phone when we were together, but locking it fast when I got near. I chalked it up to wedding stress. People get weird before big days. But there were moments, brief, but sharp, when I felt her pulling away. Once, I caught her staring out the window with that far-off look people get when they're remembering something they're not ready to let go of. I asked her what was on her mind. She said, just ghosts. I laughed. She didn't. But this wasn't weird. This was something else. The night before the wedding, we stayed at a hotel downtown. Separate rooms. Tradition, Linda said. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I was nervous, excited, practicing my vows in the mirror like an idiot. And that's when I found it. I borrowed Amy's garment bag for my tux. Mine had ripped on the way in. She said it was fine. Just grab it from the closet in her room. So I did. Slipped my tux out. Reached into the pocket to make sure everything was there. Vows, tie clip, cufflinks. And found the key card. Not to our hotel. To a resort in Key Largo. Attached to it was a receipt. Folded, precise. Room 312. Booked under Linda Martin. 2 adults. 1 king bed. Check-in. The day after our wedding. I stared at it for a long time. Then I looked at the name under additional guest. Not Amy. Graham Carson. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. Maybe a gift? A surprise? Some weird, old-school tradition I didn't understand? But nothing made sense. Amy and I had already booked our suite together. Flights, rental car, everything. Why would her mother book a second suite for just her and me? I waited until Amy came back from her bridesmaid dinner. She was glowing, laughing, kissed my cheek and asked how my night was. I handed her the receipt, and I watched her face fall, not in fear, in resignation, like she knew this moment was coming. She didn't deny it, didn't ask where I found it. She just sat down on the bed and said, I wasn't supposed to find out this way. Amy didn't cry, didn't even blink, just sat there with that receipt in her lap, smoothing the crease like she'd done it 100 times before. Like it was a piece of paper that had haunted her, too. I waited, silent. She finally looked up and said something that didn't make any damn sense. She thinks I'm not enough for you. I remember blinking. She who? She just nodded toward the paper. My mother. I sat down, slowly, like the weight of the room had doubled. You want to explain to me why there's a honeymoon suite booked in your mom's name, with me as her guest? Amy ran her hands through her hair. She looked 10 years older in that moment. Not aged, just worn. She told me, you needed someone more experienced. I thought I misheard. What? She said you deserved a real woman. One who knows how to take care of a man. Said she sees the way you look at her. That you wouldn't stay satisfied forever. I felt cold. Like my skin didn't fit right. And you believed her? She shook her head quickly. No. God, no. But she said things. Things she's been planting for months. Said I was boring. That you'd get tired of my softness. That one day you'd wake up and wonder what you were doing with someone like me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And this suite? She booked it without telling me. Said it was a contingency plan. I didn't even know she put your name on it until a week ago. I begged her to cancel it. Did she? Amy didn't answer. That was the answer. I stared at her. Why didn't you tell me? She swallowed hard. Because I was afraid it would ruin everything. That you'd call off the wedding. That you'd never look at me the same way again. And part of me hoped it would just go away. That if I didn't give it power, it wouldn't become real. I didn't speak. I stood up, started pacing the room like movement would help me think. But the images were already forming. Linda smiling across from me at brunch, complimenting my tie. Linda bringing me coffee when Amy was late to dinner. Linda laughing too hard at my jokes. I thought it was awkward at worst. I didn't realize it was rehearsed. You didn't tell me, I said. Amy looked up, eyes full now. Because I thought if I ignored it, it would stop. That if we just got married, she'd let go. And now, she thinks if she can make you doubt me, just once, you'll choose her version of love. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the hotel lobby with a whiskey I didn't want, watching couples drift in from rehearsal dinners and date nights. All of them glowing, laughing, carrying flowers or giggling over too much wine. And I felt like I was sitting in the middle of a lie. At 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. No name, just a number I recognized immediately. Linda. I didn't answer. She texted once. We should talk before the ceremony. There are things Amy hasn't told you. Things you deserve to know. I stared at the screen until it went black. Then I got up, walked outside, and threw up in the flower bed. The next morning, I didn't see Amy before the ceremony. That wasn't the plan. But she texted early, said she needed the morning to herself, said she'd see me at the altar. I couldn't blame her. I was barely holding myself together. The groomsmen were buzzing around like bees on espresso, adjusting ties, cracking jokes. I smiled where I needed to, nodded when people spoke. But inside, I was unraveling. And then Linda arrived, right on cue. White suit, diamond brooch, and a smile sharp enough to cut rope. She walked straight up to me before anyone could stop her. Graham, she said softly, hand on my arm. I know you're confused. I just want to help. I stepped back. Help? I said. By sabotaging your daughter's marriage? By booking a honeymoon suite with her fiancé? She didn't flinch, didn't deny it. Just gave me that same smile she always wore when she thought she was playing chess and everyone else was playing checkers. I didn't book it for what you think, she said. Then explain it to me, I replied. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like sabotage. Her voice softened, like she was trying to sound wise instead of manipulative. It was never about seduction. It was about clarity, about giving Amy a chance to see what she was walking into, and giving you a chance to see what she wasn't saying. I stared at her. So that key card, it wasn't a mistake? Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I placed it exactly where I knew you'd find it. I knew you'd borrow her bag. I knew she wouldn't warn you. I felt something twist in my chest. You planted it. I created an opportunity, she corrected. A moment of truth. You think I enjoy watching her suffer? I don't. But she wasn't ready to marry you, Graham. And deep down, I think you knew that. Wasn't I the one listed as your guest? I said, the word sharp now. I never expected you to show up, she said evenly. But I did expect Amy to fall apart when you did. I stepped back. So you didn't give her a choice. You cornered her. You made her break. She didn't deny it. Better now than after the vows, she said quietly. You call it manipulation. I call it protection. Ugly. Yes, but necessary. You gave her a test she didn't know she was taking. And she failed, Linda said. That's not on me. The music started. Strings. Soft. Classical. Exactly what Amy wanted. A piece from a movie we watched on our third date, when we first talked about forever, like it was something people could actually promise. I stood at the altar, heart pounding, not from joy, not even from nerves, but from the dull, nauseating panic that settles in your chest when something sacred starts to rot, and you're the only one who can smell it. Everyone stood when she entered. Amy looked beautiful. I'll never take that from her. She wore that dress like it was made for her, and maybe it was. Her hair swept back, lips trembling slightly. I scanning the crowd, but never quite landing on me, like she was searching for someone else, or something she lost. She walked slow, one step, then another, and halfway down the aisle, she stopped. Just stopped, like her feet forgot what they were doing. The crowd murmured. Linda, seated in the front row, rose halfway to her feet. Amy's hand tightened around her bouquet. Then she looked up, straight at me, and shook her head, once. I stepped forward, heart cracking in real time. She looked around, turned to her bridesmaid, her best friend, Emily, and whispered something. Emily nodded, then gently took the bouquet. Amy turned back to the crowd. I'm sorry, she said, voice quiet but steady. I can't do this. A stunned silence fell like glass. Then murmurs. Someone gasped. Linda stood. Amy. But Amy held up a hand. Don't, she said. You've done enough. We met outside. Not by design. I had walked out through the side door, needing air. Found myself near the garden where we'd taken engagement photos. And there she was, sitting on the stone bench where she once said she could see us growing old. She didn't look up when I approached. "Did you mean it?" I asked, calling it off. She nodded. "I couldn't pretend, Graham. Not for them. Not for you. Not even for her." I sat beside her. "She told me she'd cancel the suite," Amy said. "After I begged. After I cried. She swore it was just her way of making sure I didn't settle. That it was symbolic. A bluff. And you believed her?" I wanted to. I wanted to believe she'd change. That love would be enough to make her let go. I didn't speak. I kept telling myself, once we were married, she'd fade. That we'd move away, set boundaries. That she couldn't touch what we built. And now, Amy turned to me. Eyes red, but dry. Now I see she already touched it. She's been steering it from the beginning. And I let her. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the keycard, held it in my palm. "This was real, Amy." She nodded. "I know. Was there ever a part of you," I asked, "that considered letting her win?" She didn't flinch. "Yes. Honesty. Brutal. Small. True." And somehow, that answer hurt less than the lies. We sat in silence for a long time. The guests filtered out slowly, unsure whether to offer hugs or space. Linda had vanished. No grand scene, no apology, just gone. Like a puppet master slipping out the side door after the curtain fell. Finally, Amy stood. "I'm going to stay with Emily for a while," she said. I nodded. She looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, her eyes held something that looked like love. Not the fairy tale kind, the cracked kind, the kind that knew what it had cost us to get here. "I loved you, Graham," she whispered. "I still do." I swallowed. "Then why didn't you fight harder?" She didn't answer. "Because we both knew the truth. Some people spend so long trying to please the ones who broke them, they forget how to stand up for the ones who held them together." The wedding never happened, but the ending did. And it was real. 3 days after the wedding that wasn't, I knocked on her door. Linda's. I hadn't planned to. I told myself I was done, that walking away was the high road, that I didn't need to understand why she did it. But I couldn't let it go. Not just because of the suite. Not just because she nearly destroyed her daughter's life. But because deep down, I knew she wasn't done yet. People like Linda don't lose quietly. They retreat, reorganize, and strike again. So I showed up. White porch. Perfect hedges. Wind chimes that sounded like a lullaby designed to gaslight you. She opened the door in a silk robe and lipstick like she was expecting company. She always dressed like that. Like she might need to win a courtroom case or a man's attention on short notice. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Graham," she said softly. "Didn't expect to see you." "I'm sure you didn't," I said, stepping inside without asking. She followed me into the living room. It was spotless. Of course it was. She probably cleaned it twice while the wedding was collapsing. "I suppose you've spoken to Amy." She told me enough. Linda poured herself tea. Just 1 cup. Didn't offer me any. "Then I'm not sure what else there is to say," she said, settling into her throne of a chair. I stayed standing. "You booked a honeymoon suite in your name, with my name listed as your guest." She didn't even blink. "That suite was a precaution. You keep saying that word like it means something." She sighed. "Marriage is hard, Graham. I wanted Amy to be sure. I gave her a window. You gave her a back door. You gave me a trap." She tilted her head. "You think I wanted you? That I was trying to seduce you? Wasn't I the one invited into a king suite with you?" "I never expected you to show up," she said calmly. "But I did expect Amy to crumble under pressure." And she did. That froze me. "She what?" Linda smiled now. "You think she stood you up to protect you?" "No, Graham. She stood you up because she was afraid. Because when you found that keycard, she realized she couldn't lie her way through this anymore." Something shifted in my chest. "Lie about what?" She stood now. Walked over to a lacquered sideboard and opened the top drawer like she was retrieving silverware, not a bomb. She pulled out a slim box. Opened it. Inside, a cream-colored envelope. Heavy paper. Gold foil trim. Familiar font. But the name on the front wasn't mine. It read, Nathaniel Conrad. My chest went tight. I looked up at her slowly. "Who is he?" She studied me with the same calm she used to justify every boundary she ever crossed. "He's the one she never buried," she said. "First love. First heartbreak. The kind that doesn't rot away, it just recedes into shadow." The word hit me harder than I expected. Ghosts. Amy's voice in my head. "Just ghosts." "You knew about him?" I asked. She nodded. "He reached out after seeing her engagement photos. Months ago. Wanted to talk. Closure, he claimed. She agreed to meet him. Twice." I took a step back. "And she didn't tell me." "She was ashamed," Linda said. "And scared. And confused. And I don't blame her. But you used it." I used the truth, she said. You think the suite was about me? It was about pressure. She needed to crack. She needed to choose. She was going to marry me, I said through my teeth. And she couldn't walk down the aisle, Linda said. Because when you found that keycard, you didn't just find a hotel. You found out that part of her heart was still tethered to someone else. I didn't speak, because I knew she was right. She saw it in my face. I didn't ruin your wedding, Graham, she said quietly. I just stopped the lie from lasting a lifetime. And you used that to manipulate her? I protected her, she snapped. From herself. From repeating the same cycle. From settling for safe when her heart still hadn't healed. That's when I realized. She never wanted us to fail. She wanted me to leave her daughter. So Amy wouldn't have to. So Amy could stay the victim, the one left behind, not the one who walked away. Linda didn't sabotage our wedding because she hated me. She did it because she didn't trust her daughter to be honest. And maybe Amy had given her reason not to. I walked out without another word. Left the box. The tea. The wind chimes. When I got back to my apartment, I found a package at the door. No return address. Inside, Amy's wedding vows. Handwritten, pages of them. Some crossed out. Some rewritten. The last line read, "You deserve someone who doesn't flinch when it's time to choose." I'm sorry I hesitated. I sat on the floor for a long time, reading that line over and over. Later that night, I called Amy. I hadn't heard her voice since the ceremony. She picked up on the second ring, breathless, like she already knew who it was. I saw him, I said. Silence. Was that the plan? I asked. For me to find the key, walk away, so he could walk back in? No, she said softly. That wasn't the plan. Then what was? She exhaled, slow and shaky. I thought marrying you would silence him, she said. That the vows would bury whatever part of me was still looking back. But when he reached out, I realized I never really said goodbye. Not to him. Not to the girl I was with him. I said nothing. And you, she added. You didn't deserve to be a distraction from grief. You deserved someone who could look only forward. Her voice cracked. I loved you, Graham. I did. You were peace. And after him, I craved peace so badly I tried to build a life out of it. But you were still haunted. Yes, she whispered. By a version of love I thought I had to outrun. I closed my eyes. She said she was thinking about ghosts, I said. Amy didn't respond right away. Then, you weren't one of them. That's what I'm trying to say. You were real. Solid. The only thing that made sense. But not the thing you could fully choose. She hesitated, then said the one thing I'd been trying not to hear. I flinched. That word landed with quiet precision. And I can't ask you to wait for someone who flinches. We sat in silence, tethered by a call and a love that had too many shadows between it. Then I said what she couldn't. Goodbye, Amy. She whispered it back. And that was the last time I heard her voice. A week later, I got a message from Linda. Short, cold. Amy's moved out. She's seeing Nathaniel. Thought you should hear it from someone. I didn't respond. Because I wasn't surprised. And because I finally understood what this was. Amy wasn't choosing him over me. She was choosing the part of herself that hadn't healed. And I was done loving people who couldn't stand still long enough to be chosen back. 2 months after the almost wedding, I went to Key Largo. Not with a suitcase. Not with a plan. Just me. I booked the same resort. Same room. Room 312. The one Linda reserved. The one that broke everything open. The one no one ever used. I didn't go to punish myself. I went to reclaim the silence. The room was exactly what I expected. Crisp linens. Folded brochures. Lemon-scented air that couldn't cover what it was built for. I didn't unpack. Didn't lie down. I just stood by the window and let the ocean speak for a while. And then I left. Left the key on the nightstand. Walked out before sunset. Didn't look back. Because I didn't need to. Back home, life got smaller. Quieter. Realer. No wedding plans. No apologies I didn't ask for. Just me. A dog named Bishop. A beat-up leash. A rhythm. He was all nerves and loyalty when I brought him home from the shelter. A little broken. A little too alert. Like he'd been waiting to be chosen for too long. We understood each other. Sundays became about early walks and late breakfasts. No checklists. No waiting for anyone to come back. Once, in a grocery store aisle, I saw Amy. She was holding hands with him. Nathaniel. She didn't see me. She was laughing. And it looked real. For a flicker, I wondered what might have happened if I hadn't found that keycard. If I'd walked her down the aisle. If I'd spent a life asking why her eyes kept scanning the room. But then I looked down. And Bishop looked up, tail wagging. Eyes steady. Like I was the only thing that made sense. And I smiled. Because sometimes, the gift isn't getting the person you thought you wanted. It's getting out before you forget who you are. Room 312 never got a second night. I built my own. Quiet. Steady. No ghosts under the bed. No lies in my pocket. No one to flinch. Just peace. And the kind of love that stays when no one's watching.